Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street LCX video here on this channel. Guys, LCX, relatively new exchange, something that I have not been holding for a long time in my portfolio, the LCX token. Again, this is a fantastic new exciting project, one that is within the remits of a regulated exchange and one that is under the Liechtenstein protocol as well. So what I loved about this project in particular was its interaction with the likes of Quant. This is one of those top feeling projects, in my opinion, one that I will be super excited to hold over the next few years. I think it's still very early days, of course, but if you look at the spectrum of how well exchanges have done over the many years that crypto has been about. I mean, if you think about like the token itself, let's talk about the token for a second, the LCX token. If you look at the likes of like BNB, KCS of KuCoin, you've got BitTrue, of course, which is always quite an upcoming good one as well. I mean, in general, all the exchange tokens do quite well because they're obviously used as a maybe something that counteracts a fee in the exchange, or it's used for other aspects or application within the exchange itself, whether that be for NFTs or launch pads and things like this, or voting systems. So this is going to be really interesting for me. One other thing as well about this is just how early it is. And we'll look at the price in a minute on the chart, albeit there's not huge data kind of on the one I've got, goes back to November. But you can see that we're in a good price point right now. So we'll talk about that in a second. There's other bits of news here. The LCX Revamp happening the 10th of October. So it's still a bit of time, just under a month now, away from some supposed improvements of the LCX exchange and how it's logged in, how it operates, the speed of which exchanges happen, and also withdrawals. Apparently automatic withdrawals was going to be quite interesting as well. There is the mobile app, which we covered in the previous video as well in terms of that launch, and they've got a few other things going on as well. So the marketing is taking up to a bit more of a new level with these guys. The LCX mobile, by the way, is an absolutely fantastic intuitive exchange. It's actually one of the easiest ones to use, and it feels so professional as well. This is the kind of like exchange that I've been waiting for. I mean, we do cover things like Revamp and stuff as well, which are really, really cool upcoming projects as well. But this is the one where, I don't know, part of me feels like it's almost near enough to what I would expect from a bank, almost. Like something that's high-end class and will be the type of exchange that will really coordinate with people outside of the existing sort of crypto sphere, digital currencies to come across. They want something easy, they want something intuitive, but they also want something that's very secure and up to date with its regulations and all of this kind of stuff as well. And we know that within the remits of the ISO compliance is one of the key things as well for LCX as a token, but also the exchange itself. So I think this is going to be something that's going to be very popular over the next few years. For me, it's beautifully made, and it's one, as I said, with all the integrations with all the other big projects out there. You know, look at this, the ecosystem partners of like Quant, CeeLo, like huge, Hedera Hashgraph. These are all some of my favorite projects, and I'm not just doing it just because they're name dropping here. But the fact of the matter is there's huge integrations here and huge opportunities for these projects to come together. So when we look into the near future of, for example, 2025, when the new financial systems come in and beyond there, we're going to be looking at the high-end stuff, right? People always ask me, like, what's your portfolio kind of spread? Well, I've got over like 40 assets at the moment, and I'm trying my best to condense them down. I got rid of a few the other day where I just have so many small holdings, and I thought I just need to incorporate those into ones that I truly believe in for the next few years and identify the categories that I want to go into. So I have good ones in healthcare, energy, automation, AI and IoT, and of course the financial institutional ones as well, of which I have the likes of Ripple, XRP, Stellar, XLM, XTC, Quant, of course, on there as well, Hedera, IOTA, and now I will hold and do hold LCX as well, because I think this is going to be one of the top platforms, the top exchanges that comes into fruition. This isn't saying that Binance, KuCoin, all these other top exchanges like Kraken and things aren't good enough. I feel like they're very heavily consumer focused, and rightly so, because they're encouraging so many different markets, so many different audiences. They are staggering in terms of how many people use them. But in terms of like ones that I'm looking for in the near future, where I'm sitting there going, well, what's the next like Binance or the next Kraken? And when we look at like regulated exchanges like this at LCX, this is really exciting for me. And as I said, with the ecosystem partners that are in place, it's looking like a really stable, secure and substantial exchange for the near future. And I'm really excited to see how it continues its development and how it will continue as well to develop with its partners and beyond. This was quite interesting in terms of all that information and research that they stick out there as well. But this also gives a really big opportunity as well for like institutional level, corporate level banking opportunities. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of the exchanges don't do that. I know like most companies do have probably like holdings and venture capitals and stuff like this through various other ways and an application, but I think LCX is going to give something that's very different to some of the exchanges that are already out there. So I'm not going into giant detail of LCX because we did an intro video to them a while back, but I just wanted to reiterate those couple of points. I do quite like their YouTube channel. I know it's still new and getting there with views and stuff, but they do some really cool like information about some of their projects, things like how one of my favorite topics, gaming, of course. Blockchain gaming monetized by decentralization. There's some of them are short videos, some of them are longer, but I think it's really cool to see this kind of thing as an insight, as research and information. As I said, bridging the more and more people across from traditional banking methods or exchange methods into digitalization, digital currencies, and this is one of the top projects that could do this. One of the other reasons, of course, is their interaction and engagement within the likes of the World Economic Forum. Whether you like them or not, the fact of the matter is you have to follow the money, you have to follow the instinct of these conversations, these meetings, these events that these guys get involved with. They don't do this for no reason. I put the two and two together and I follow the money, and I know what's to come with the world in the next few years, certainly leading up to 2030 when it comes to the World Economic Forum, and any projects related to or engaged with these kind of groups, if you like, institutions such as the World Economic Forum. It has my attention instantly. So that's kind of like a mini influx into why I'm so interested in this. There's not much more I can say right now other than I'm looking forward to the development of this for sure. Some really good developments already in the last few months, let alone the longevity of the project. And I think more and more is to come, and it's going to be exciting in a couple of years and years to come. So we have to keep an eye on this. I do love the fact as well that it interlaces a lot with some of my other favorite projects, as I mentioned with Quant and some other ones as well. And yeah, I think this is super exciting. So that's the quick update really, and my thoughts still on LCX. You can, of course, within the exchange now, there's loads of different pairing options for LCX, and you can buy it directly on the LCX exchange now as well. As you can see, there's loads of different options here. Some of the key ones for me, of course, usually the stablecoin aspects like USDC, for example. But if you've got holdings of other assets and you're looking to hold LCX, you might want to use one of those existing ones as well. Here's an interesting one, Quant LCX, very nice. And look at the trading pair as well. It seems to have a good magnitude. In fact, the aspect of that is quite interesting. So that's that. Let's jump into the miniature chart, if you like, of LCX that we have right in front of us right now. So at this current stage in time, you'll see that LCX has developed a pattern downwards like the rest of the market most of this year. But we're in a nice little fluctuated point at the bottom here. So we've had a couple of days of movement upwards, but in general for the price point, we're hitting these low regions where we've seen a lot of resistance on this way down already. So we saw a bit here on the 12th of May, 12th and 13th of June respectively, and also this dip down here, the 1 day dip down in the 9th of August. So we're fluctuating here at a price point that's very much matching this lower region of the fib retracement you can see here on the macro level. What does this also entail? In fact, if I just move quickly this line out to one of the highest points up here, it's still matching well within that kind of area. So really interesting to see this kind of move pattern. So it's on like a downward trend still. You can see on the week, albeit it's 1% up on the week, it's still down on the monthly and the 3 monthly. So there could be an argument to say that we could come potentially to test these lower regions again down at this 4.5 cent level. But at the moment, 5 cents is a nice rounded number, and it seems to be psychologically one that we're looking to try and get a resistance or indeed a support mechanism on. To get a support line, we do need to come down, in my opinion, lower, to then have that as a magnet to bring it back up a few more times. But in the instance of the price point of LCX and where I see it going into the future, I'm not gigantically fussed between the difference of whether, even if it's 2 cents, 5 cents. This is something that I feel like I could accumulate over the next few months, and certainly in this bear winter market, for future reaping of rewards. Certainly when we come to the transition of the financial infrastructures, as I said, roughly around November 2025, I believe it will be, based on BIS information, etc. So from my point perspective, it's a good time personally to be obtaining the LCX token. As I said, we might see some lower regions, so if you are one that's looking for possible entry points at lower areas, as I said, then the nearest point downwards would probably be around the 0.04 cent, basically 4 cents or 4.5 cent mark, and then probably at just over the 4 cent mark itself as well. But I wouldn't be angry at buying it manually around this kind of area too at 5 cents. A few indicators here are why I'm suggesting this as an option, not financial advice, just opinion. You see the RSIs, you know from all my previous videos, around the 40 mark is always a good buy point, especially when I see it on the 28-day area as well. So we got 43 currently, so slightly above the 40, but I wouldn't be angry, and we're diminishing the risk factor of it coming down massively lower. If we go back to the 13th of September, literally like a few days ago, we were having very much around that mark of 40 at 20. So yes, a few days ago would have probably been a better option. The 14 day was showing 32. So you see there's a bit of an upward trend since that time. But I'd like to see just a bit of a balance over the next 1 or 2 days, and then I'll probably make some manual positions if it's staying around these kind of areas. In the 90 day, this is really, really interesting point around 43, because it means that over this 3 month period of trading or even longer, we have more opportunity of making trend upward than we do coming down. Some people ask, well, why don't you just wait till 30? Well, this usually happens when we have bigger trigger points here, like we did on the 13th of May, and we see across the whole market in general. I wouldn't say it's rare, but I would say like it's quite an uncommon thing, right? To see this kind of big move, but it does sometimes balance out over a few days period around these kind of areas, and they're really good buy points for sure. But they come once every often, and there's certainly things where I always say never chuck your money in just because you just got paid and chuck everything in straight away. Do what I call DCA, dollar cost averaging. This means that you purchase and also sell in incremental percentage levels. It means that you take acknowledgement of where we are in the chart, the news, the world, macro events, all of these things all calculate together to then define, well, I'm going to put some in now, but I'm also going to put a buy order in at lower regions. If it doesn't come in, fine, you're still making money because it's on an upward trend, but you don't want to be getting into a pattern where you go, oh, I just got paid, I'm going to chuck all my money in, don't care where the chart is. If you do that and you're on a really, really long-term plan and it's just a savings account for you, then fine. But there are some really good opportunities if you think in this particular way. So, for example, in this particular area where we did see that big drop, I, for example, have a big batch of USDC in my exchanges for these kind of days. And you can put limit orders in advance to dictate buy point at prices you think are possibly going to happen in the future. You can't see because of hindsight obviously not occurring. But you could also do it on a manual basis. So if you do hear news of the market's crashed or something for a day or two, you can make some adjustments there and you will have some USDC available. Whereas if obviously you just get paid and you just chuck it in for no reason or thinking about it, you miss out on those opportunities, and that's when FOMO happens, and that's when risk comes in and you get agitated and frustrated or missed opportunities. So just be aware of these kind of things. That's what I'm saying. But the LCX token in general, as I said, is this good opportunity right now where we're trying to identify some support, but do just be wary, and I'll just draw it in for reference here in the next video, is that this could be an area of attention around 4.5 cents, or even indeed at the lower regions underneath that mark. But that's where I'd probably put a limit order in the next day or two, me personally, just in case we do dip down to those levels. But I'm also interested in potential manual purchasing around this 5 cent mark, because as I said, not just because it's a round number, but because of the identity between the data in trigger points in the past. We're at these lower regions again. So it's removing massive risk, but just also playing on the fact that we might come down lower. If we rise up, brilliant, we're making some money, but I'm here for the long term of LCX. I'm anticipating that kind of like anything under 20 cents right now is an absolute bargain and steal for LCX, and if I can get it around 5 cents or under 10 cents, even better. That's all I'm saying right now for that particular momentum of LCX. So guys, let us know in the comments below if you're holding LCX, if it's one that you're still umming and ahhing about. Have you been holding it for a while? What are your anticipations for the future? I honestly think this is going to be a top exchange, and I think there's a hell of a lot more to come for this in terms of its applications and its opportunities, that all the things you can do within it. It's just very early, and I think, as I said, with its anticipation of all the different projects that it's linked with, this one is one that's going to stand out in the years to come. That's what I think. Let us know what you think. I'm going to smash that like button for me, and that subscribe button as well if you have not done so already. But guys, we're going to wrap this up there. Thank you so much for watching this one. We'll do another LCX video in the next week or two, and certainly monitor the situation of its movement in price. But until then, thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next LCX video. Take care and bye bye.